The lions generally at night are fearless. That's their time. It's a time that they rule. But what was amazing last night is that the behavior of the lions were completely different. They had clearly been exposed to some really traumatic event related to human-wildlife conflict, I do believe. Most of the conflict that happens between people and lions, it's all in the daytime. That's when people, would shoot lions or try and deter them from the area. So working with lions at night is always, it's basically our trump card. But the two lionesses, their behavior was really extraordinary. They were very, very nervous of the vehicle. There was no sound coming from the vehicle, there were no lights coming from the vehicle, but they were so suspicious of it, more so than in the daytime. So I do think that they had been harassed at night. It's the only explanation for that. Now, the one lioness had two large cubs that had suddenly disappeared in a time that there was quite a lot of cattle in the river. So I do think that the cattle owners, in protection of the cattle obviously, shot probably those two cubs from a vehicle at night with a light, which by the way is illegal. But I think that really caused the behavior of the lions to be so severe. But every now and then this thing flares up because people are angry. It's like, the livestock conflict, human-wildlife thing, there's a huge element that's really not for this. And people feel that, the government and us collectively, are protecting wildlife at the cost of the people, particularly lions. And then this thing flares up because then they don't get the benefits. All this money gets paid from the tourism industry and the concessions, but the people on the ground feel that they're not getting the benefits. And okay, one can tease that apart as to, the causes and so on. But the fact of the matter is that is the reality, and tensions flare up, and people feel they just take law into their own hands and sort this problem out once and for all. And that happens every now and then. And maybe that is something that's the case now. We've had a severe drought. I mean, look at the impact of COVID-19 on the population. So people are not in a good space. And now you have lions that are harassing and killing the few head of livestock in a time when income is a serious problem. And then they just say, let's go and sort this out. So a car driving down the one looking for these girls because they've just come from a hell of a escapade up in the Sesfontein, Dusty Plains area, which is sort of why I think they're so particularly nervous now. Maybe they ran into some problems. They certainly made some kills in places that looked very dodgy, and they hang around there for a day or two. We didn't hear any complaints, but people don't always take the time to lay a complaint, and maybe they try to shoot them or so, and they didn't manage, because these girls are clever now. So the cubs will be shot first, but now they're too small still. So I do think there's a lot of problems that could be prevalent in this time.
A little incident that happened a while ago in Anapep Conservancy, where a female lion that had three cubs was shot down as a result of human-wildlife conflict. It came into villages, into one village where it killed around 8 goats, and in another one where it killed 6 donkeys. But at one incident, we were with one of the farmers who lost his donkey to this particular lion. And this farmer went with us in the field, and then he saw exactly what was happening in the field. We could not see even a springbok, even anything that would say is a prey or should be a prey to lions. So, his mind eventually changed that, okay, but I'm putting all the blame on the lion. The lion came to hunt on my thing, but this was definitely out of desperation. It was not like this is what the lion wanted. I think for farmers to getting to understand that, for us, it's a good achievement, and that's what we would want all the farmers to, the behavior to look like. Because sometimes it's basically mostly desperation than really just going to hunt the easy prey, which is the livestock.
This year, 2020, and in fact it goes back to the end of 2019, when we really had very poor rainfall, still way within the norms of an arid area. But it's been a build-up of several years of sort of lowish rainfall. On top of that, the impact that the low rainfall has had on the local communities that farm with livestock has been severe. And as a result, the communities have had to start utilizing areas that are generally designated for wildlife. So moved in there with their livestock. Vast numbers of livestock that then essentially obliterated the available grazing. So when the cattle moved out with a bit of rain that fell, it left the area for wildlife very much depleted from resources, food and grazing, browsing. And as a result, the lions have suffered, and the rest of the wildlife as well. So halfway into year 2020, we sit with a very difficult situation where there's really very, very little prey available in the area, and vegetation is also in a poor state.
I'm going to go back quite a few years. We're now having I think we're going into our 8th year of drought. And about 4 years into this drought, we realized that prey species numbers were starting to go down. So we're talking a good 4 years ago. We're talking 2014, 2015, 2016. We could pick that up already. Prey species are going down. Because of the drought at that time, you tend to have a double whammy. It's not just mortality, animals dying because there's no food for them, but they actually, because there's not sufficient nutrition, they don't reproduce. I mean, you get that in farming as well. If you don't give enough nutrients, the animals don't reproduce. So, of course, as prey species numbers went down, your normal population dynamics, which most people are aware of, numbers increase of prey species, a delay, and then your predator numbers also increase, and the same happens when their numbers go down. So your prey species numbers start going down on the graph in number, and there's a delay in time, and then your predator numbers go down because their food is now declining as well. Okay, so that's the basics. So yeah, we realize that we're facing massive challenges here. And on top of it, lions causing increasing amount of problems with farmers, etc. And yeah, something had to be done. But it's a massive area, and we just struggled to cover all these areas.
The distance for us, it looks like maybe 200 kilometers between two hotspots is not that much. But for us, it's a big challenge because of the roads and the terrains. Basically, when you drive, on average, you'll be driving between 4 and 6 hours for 200 kilometers. So for us, it's quite a big challenge.
We've been pivotal in implementing and erecting and helping with the early warning system. An incredible system which we could talk about for hours later on its own, because it's really high-tech, it's groundbreaking stuff, it's very exciting. But just in terms of the response, guys, we don't have enough people to respond to these things in time. And if you get a call out from down in the Uchab River, we've got somebody who's up near Sesfontein or even a Pua, by the time they get down there, the damage is done. The team, the response team, their actual title is Human Wildlife Support Team. So that is not just about lions, okay? This is about human-wildlife conflict all over. So we are talking also about elephants, and of course we know in parts of the Kunene areas, but particularly the eastern Kunene highlands, we've got a dramatic increase in elephants. And so that is also part of our responsibility that we have to take part. We have the most incredible resources in this area. I think there's a global responsibility towards the resources we have. We have some massive challenges. I think we're on the upbeat side of it. I really think we're making a difference. We just need some help.